She doesn't get ahead in the early game. Mickey can always bring it back once you get past that 20-minute mark. He can throw out a Tempered Fate. They can look for those picks. But we'll have to see if it's going to be a priority today because things are getting changed up a little bit here in picks and bans. Sion taken off the table. I mean, Olaf, Trundle, we've seen you guys before. We'll just let you through. Why Sion?
Full AD Sion top. I mean, crazy stuff coming out. This is absolutely unbelievable right now. I'm almost not believing that these are real bans.
That's an interesting ban rate, 1.2%. That's, Okay, Aurelia taken off the table too. Every top laner, I get if Sion's the top laner, who knows? Vladimir taken off as well. Talia banned. There's not even a number under her because she's never been picked in the EU LCS, but immediately Splyce putting priority on what could be a support or a mid laner, locking in that Karma.
Okay, so many things to talk about right now. So let's just start with some of the bans that we've seen from Splyce. I like the ban towards Aurelia. We've seen Chachi stepping up a lot more on these carry-style champions. The fact that Olaf, Trundle, and Aurelia have been taken away from Chachi says, okay, you're now running out of carries left to play in the top lane. What are you going to look to prioritize? And this Talia ban, clearly Unicorns know something that we don't. But the fact that Splyce have picked up that very early comment says, we know you're going to go for the Bard. We want to just pick up this very powerful support right now that sets up nicely for roams, very good at setting up engages, and overall a very well-rounded support.
And I feel like this pick ban phase is so quick because Bard, Rek'Sai locked in, Bard as predicted coming in for Mickey, the Rek'Sai as well, a great pick in the hands of Move, but second rotation for Unicorns love. We'll get to Splyce in a second. Shen immediately locked in. This was the pick we were looking for coming into this week.
We've seen so much prioritization for Shen in the Challenger series, and over in Korea, they still heavily value this tank top because they like to run a carry in the jungle. But Unicorns of Love, they're just saying, look, right now with all these top lanes gone, we want to pick something safe. We want to pick something that can have a lot of global pressure and synergize really nicely with the Rek'Sai. So we're just going to pick that one up, and they're saving that last mid lane pick to make sure that Exile has that power pick in the mid.
Overall, I think a very solid strategy, giving comfort over to Exile. We've seen how good he can be if he gets that winning mid lane matchup and Move with the tools to make it happen as well. But Gnar, for wonder, in the top lane, matched up versus the Shen. We've seen Gnar bully out a lot of those top lane champions. How do you expect this matchup to unfold?
So typically, because he has the range advantage, he can push that Shen around, but Shen being Shen, he doesn't naturally have that many bad matchups. He can just play pretty passively, he can get through the laning phase, and that's just what makes him such a safe top laner. And the fact that Splyce had picked somewhat of a weird composition, to be totally honest, because it just seems, honestly, just off the bat, it seems a little bit all over the show.
And I think we're going to have to talk about the top lane matchup as we get in the game because things have changed very rapidly. That's not going to be the Karma support. It will be the Karma mid lane, putting the Bard, or not the Bard, the Braum into the hands of Mickey. Hillisang picking up the Bard as well, denying that away. This is really interesting adaptation from both sides. Anivia, this looks, I feel like this isn't a patch we've seen before with how massive the differences are in picks and bans.
And we're still on 6-12, so with all this crazy stuff going in, the teams have clearly learned something that we have not. But just looking at the composition from Splyce, they do have a bit of a poke composition with the Karma and with the Nidalee, really good at just basically hitting your opponents from a long range because they do scale quite nicely into the mid and late game. But come these mid-game fights, it's going to be very much around building for the Lucian. I expect him to go towards the Essence Reaver into the Rapid Fire Cannon. We saw Kobbe do it last week up against Origin, and it worked very nicely for him in the late game fight. So I feel like Splyce building a bit of a composition where they have the Nidalee for the good early game. They're going to transition nicely into the mid and late, relying on Kobbe to be that big carry.
Interesting decision on how they're prioritizing this. I think very unusual pick ban, we can say. A lot of the picks, I mean, Anivia, definitely something we've seen be more popular in the hands of Senkux, now being picked up on the opposite side for Exile. And both these compositions, a little outside the box for what we're used to, but a lot of things that we have seen before. Of course, guys, hop on Twitter, tweet at LoL eSports, hashtag SPYWin or hashtag UOL win, depending on where you put your faith in this best of two. We're geared up for our first game of the day here on EU LCS 1.
This is, we called it, glorious game, Seafa. This will be a glorious game.
I was wondering about your word choice, but now I see. That is we'll call that a good predict on your use of adjectives there.
But I want to talk a little bit about this composition coming out from Unicorns because it is very well-rounded. I mean, you have a very solid front line in the form of Shen and Rek'Sai. You have global pressure. You can easily set up a 1-3-1 comp, which we have praised Unicorns of Love in the past for really being their go-to composition, but they've also got such great team fighting. Bard, very powerful at isolating targets, using that crowd control that can be so irritating to deal with. He's also acting as the engage. You've got Anivia and Jhin. Will take a little while to ramp up, but can definitely have such massive impact and control in these mid-game team fights. And I really like this well-rounded composition that Unicorns have decided to bring out.
Absolutely. Splyce as well, trying something very different this time around. Very supportive mid laner, putting Mickey on the Bard instead of opting for that more ranged support. We're going to have to see what kind of plays he can make this start to the game. Wondering if we're going to see the lane swap. Lucian Braum headed to the top side. Not a whole lot of information traded in terms of vision overall. This may just be blind. You got to assume that, I mean, how does this lane phase play out? Because on the one hand, you have the terrifying Braum Lucian, so lethal, but they've got that melee support into the Bard, and we've seen how much work Bard can do in these exchanges.
He certainly can. I mean, Bard's, just as a champion during the laning phase, is very obnoxious to deal with. And to be fair, you can't underestimate the damage that Jhin has. When he has that fourth shot that's guaranteed to crit you, it's something that's always going to pack a punch and force you to play a little bit more defensively than you would typically like to. But meanwhile in the mid, this is actually quite a difficult matchup for the Anivia, simply because she doesn't have the same sort of pushing power as the Karma early on. And it's very difficult to trade back with the Karma simply because she has that shield. She's very slippery, and she can play as aggressively as she wants, especially when you have the safety of a niddly jungle that's always going to be power farming and trying to be aggressive towards the enemy jungler as well. So positive matchup for the Splyce in the mid, and they also have a positive matchup in the, well, bottom half of the map as well with this
with the top laners.
You have the range advantage, you have that Nun. While Shen is very safe, it's always something you have to be very mindful of early during the laning phase, because if you're just going to sit and take all those shots, it's going to force you out of lane very quickly.
Absolutely. We've seen how irritating that boomerang harass can be. But right now, Chachi actually taking control of the lane. May get harder as Wonder gets a few levels under his belt. Interesting as well. A lot of pressure on the top side coming in from the Unicorns of Love. You can see Kavi taking tons of damage in that exchange. Veritas looking very comfortable on this Jhin in these exchanges. And Hylissang really putting the range of that Bard to good use. So something about Hylissang's Bard, he actually has a 3 out of 3 in terms of wins without that Bard. He has only, every time he's gotten it, he's won the game. He has a KDA of 7 with it so far, and when we saw him bring it out last week against Roccat, it was very impactful in what he was able to do. So the fact that not only were they able to get it for themselves, but deny it from Mickey, I do think was actually a massive pickup for the Unicorns of Love, and you're seeing how much aggression he's being able to put down onto the bottom lane of Splyce right now. Yeah, working out very well. Of course, looking around, we talked about both junglers here, and Move kind of taking his time to apply pressure into either lane. Do you think he's going to set his sights on bot lane after this?
Well, you have to bear in mind that Wonder is very overextended in the bottom half of the map, but Trashy is hanging around as well. He's trying to get a bit of deep vision down, providing the support for Senkokes that we were just discussing, which is very much about, okay, Senkokes, we know you want to play aggressive, we know you want to shove this Anivia underneath the turret, so I'm going to make sure that you have the vision to keep you a little bit safer as you play further up in the lane. But Wonder, he's getting the same sort of treatment in the river. He's put a deep ward down. He's just very mindful of the fact that Move could look to try and make an early gank. And on this Rek'Sai, you do have the potential to do that, but it looks like for now, Move is just trying to keep up with Trashy in the farm department.
Doing okay so far. Rek'Sai opting for the early Sightstone purchase, however, a lot more of a supportive build path coming out from Move, especially after the aggressive performance that we saw from him last week against H2K. So maybe looking to adapt, stray away from that solo queue style, as Crepo called it. Looking to just be a vision source for the team in this early game.
Well, he's very mindful of the fact that Trashy wants to play aggressively, so he could be looking to set up a defensive vision line in his half of the jungle, so he's always aware of if Trashy is going to try and make any sort of invade and look for any kind of potential flank on his laners. And it's not something completely surprising when we just think of Rek'Sai in general. He synergizes very nicely with the Chilling Spider, makes it much easier for him to get that knock up, and he values a lot from the health that he gets from the Sightstone. So a nice pickup from Move, and I do quite like it. It really does iterate exactly what you said, where he is trying to shift more away from this solo queue style and playing more towards it.
Absolutely. Tricky shots coming in from Veritas on the top side of this map, but the junglers are going to meet at least for a second here. Things look to be relatively calm in this early game thus far. crowd's cheering for a ward. That's usually a sign that it's a pretty passive early game. I mean, what is the big break point here between these two teams? When are we looking to start seeing these exchanges?
So both teams take a little while to ramp up. If Kobe does decide to go for the scaling itemization with the Essence Reaver, then he's not going to be looking to fight anytime soon, especially against a Jhin who is very likely going to go towards the Ghost Blade first, which just naturally gives him more power in the early game. But hang on a second, let's look at Trash. He's looking for a gank in the top.
Mickey leaping forward, trying to make something happen. Hylissang, no fear. Bold. I mean, normally I'm a little more scared of Nidalee than that. Hylissang must know something that I do not.
I just had this thought of Hylissang walking up and going, get out of my lane! This is mine! And he just pushes Trashy out.
I mean, Bard can't even talk, so that would be kind of scary, right? That'd be the first time we...
Yeah, just like, oh, hey, look, it's a happy, chimey Bard. Get out of my lane!
The dream.
But in any case...
Trashy respects it, whatever it is.
Great aggression from Hylissang. Really like that play, just forcing Trashy away from that potential early gank.
I still don't understand it entirely, but I mean, it worked out, right? Relieving at least a little bit of pressure. But now it feels like Kobe and Mickey, with a few levels under their belt, are much more comfortable pushing in. And despite our initial predictions, Jhin is actually destroying Gnar in these exchanges.
Well, I mean, he has a minion wave in his advantage, pushing towards Wonder. Not only that, when he is in this mini Gnar, he is surprisingly squishy. So if you get on top of him with the Shen and you use that W to mitigate a lot of the basic attack damage, then enables you to come out ahead in these trades if you time it properly. And it's one of the advantages of Shen, Typically, you would imagine, oh, he's at a range disadvantage. This is not a matchup that he should typically be winning. But if you take advantage of those windows and understand how to properly utilize the Shen pick, he can be considered a pretty safe laner.
Yeah, and you saw good use of the Spirit's Refuge coming in there from Vizicachi, blocking out as many of those auto attacks as possible. Of course, this is kind of the shifting point in this mid lane. Level 6 for Anivia. No longer scared of all of the poke damage coming out from Senkux when he can just kind of push the wave and walk away.
Yeah, he's not going to get shoved underneath that turret anymore. Now that he has his wave clear ability, he should be a lot easier. And he has actually decided to go for the teleport. On Anivia, it's not that bad. Last week when I was casting with Trevor, the thing that we have to bear in mind is if you're going to run a teleport on a mid laner, you have to be very mindful of how you decide to use it. Simply because as a mage, you don't want to be setting up the TP flanks. It's not really the safest thing to do, but on Anivia, because you have that wall, you have that extra bit of utility, you can take a couple more advantages of the teleport, but you're not really going to be putting Anivia on the side lane. So it's not necessarily the optimal summoner spell, but it's one of the mid lane mages that you can get away with running it.
Absolutely. Well, while Move is spending some attention down on the bottom side of the map, Trashy is going to move to pick up this red buff. Move looking to make it a trade. Interesting use of pressure on both sides. You saw Mickey getting cheeky, throwing down Sufficient in that jungle, making sure it'd be easy for them to clear out overall. Once again, though, things relatively calm thus far. UOL taking their time. We saw them kind of start out very explosively in their first game versus H2K. Things going well. We do see Lucian picking up the BF sword, so it looks like your initial prediction was right. We will see the Essence Reaver stepping away from that Black Cleaver Youmuu's Ghostblade build that's been so popular in the last few weeks.
Chachi playing hyper aggressively because he knows the move is here to provide support, but he doesn't quite have the minion wave to go for a dive down onto Wonder, so they're just going to disengage from one another. And things are relatively slow, and I want to backtrack to a question that you asked me earlier on, because when are things really going to explode for these two teams? And we noticed that Ocean Drake is the first dragon on the map right now, and that could be a point of contention for both these teams, especially for Splyce, who have a bit of a pseudo-poke composition. You can gain a lot of value from that Ocean Drake. But both these teams, again, very much about scaling. The Jhin is going to hit a nice spike with the Ghostblade, but because he's laning with, he's not laning with, but because he's on a team with an Anivia, who typically wants to make sure that she has the Rod of Ages completed, decide to go for a tier this game as well. You can clearly see that they're going much more towards this scaling style of play, and Splyce are in a very similar boat, so very likely that we're not going to see any action until the 15 to 20 minute mark, which just allows us to talk more about stuff.
Yeah, and apparently occasionally you see Senkux's menacing face in the background.
Menacing?
I mean, I can't actually see. It was kind of like hard to actually see facial expression. You can see Trashy on your screen in the corner, and you can see these trades not quite going as favorably as they were in the early game for Senkux. I mean, waiting for this break point, it just seems like neither team really given each other the opportunity to make any kind of crazy plays, but despite that, I do feel like Wonder's pushing a lot, or Chachi's pushing him back. It seems like there's a lot of action on this top side, but junglers, rather than going in to make plays, are just hovering around to make sure no one else intervenes.
I feel like for Move right now, his priority should just be making sure that Trashy can't do anything super impactful with the Nidalee early on.
Oh, that's a
Look at that
nice
root.
start. Denying that back on the top side. All right, we got some time here, Vidius. We got some time.
So,
They want to shoot the minions. They don't want to shoot each other. I respect that.
yeah, I like it a lot. It allows you to
I
get
love
gold.
farming.
Yeah, I do love farming. Look at move, though. Oh, here we go.
Oh, that's the play we're waiting for. Senkuk suddenly in trouble. Chachi, flash in. Nice connection. Good first blood pickup. Double globals come out. Mid laner goes down. UOL picking up first blood.
So you were just discussing about the fact that, hey, these top laners going back and forth, but jungler's not really making a play. Well, Chachi says, hey, how about I help out my jungler make a gank in the mid? And what clean execution coming out from Unicorns of Love. They realize that Senkuk's ever so slightly overextended in the mid. The flank comes in from move to cut off his escape. Senkuk uses that flash very early on, which makes it very easy for the rest of Unicorns of Love to chain their crowd control and get exiled the first kill of the game.
I think a great play thus far, and we've seen exactly how lethal the Unicorns of Love can be when they manage to get their mid laner ahead. And additionally, kind of the bonus prize on top here, the Ocean Drake dropping to Unicorns of Love as well. So gonna be happy with that bonus regeneration, especially for a mana-hungry mid laner like Anivia. And the next one's gonna be a Cloud, so not quite.
So have a look at this gank from Move. Very patient in his setup. Senkuk thinks that Exile isn't even anywhere near the lane, so he's not quite expecting the collapse. And the moment Senkuk just ever so slightly steps up, he decides to flash in the wrong direction. He realized that if he'd flash forward, he's just making himself closer to Move to then get the knock-up. So
or the stun. It feels like there's no right choice.
There were very few. There was good patience from Unicorns to just wait for Senkuk to just ever so slightly overstep, and then they punish it instantly.
Yeah, a lot of patience there overall. Mickey, though, suddenly caught out. Hylissang is on his way in. Here comes the Nidalee from the back. Spear just out of range. Mickey goes for the disengage. Heal comes in. They're backing off. Jin says, curtain call, boys. Picks up one. Kabi making his way out of that one quickly. TP canceled out. Unicorns of Love are dominating the top side of the map.
Great collapse coming out from Unicorns of Love, and they're finding themselves another pick on the board, slowly accruing themselves an ever so slight gold advantage, but now with 3 members strong, they're looking to take their first turret of the game.
And I'm loving this proactive play. The gold difference not massive yet, but it is going to start to grow as Unicorns of Love look to take down their first tower. Hylissang trading blows. Snare coming in. Kabi in trouble. Oh, they've locked him down. That's a meal for somebody. Who's going to pick it up? Kabi wants to get something back. Flash in. Hylissang.
Solo kill.
What? Exile in the mid lane. My God, Unicorns of Love, they don't need to worry about cross-map plays. They own every inch of it.
Feels like the power of pink today, man. I mean, aggression all across the map coming out from Unicorns of Love. And yes, Splyce, they're going to answer with a turret down in the bottom half of the map. But the fact that Unicorns of Love have built themselves up such a massive gold lead so early on, this looks like a completely different Unicorns of Love from what we're used to seeing.
And now taking the Rift Herald as well. This is excellent play coming out in Splyce. On the back foot here. It doesn't feel like they've had any opportunity to respond at all. You saw so much of Wonder's time just spent plunking away at that turret. He couldn't even come to the fight. TP wasn't followed through on, and really, Unicorns of Love making great use of the advantage in globals.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see the replay, and here it is. So Mickey, he tried to clear out the pink ward, wasn't expecting the fantastic magical journey coming out from Hylissang to get the damage down onto Mickey. Good disengage, but then because of the teleport, it cuts off the escape route, and then after Unicorns of Love pick themselves up their first kill, the teleport gets cancelled out from Wonder, which means that there's no follow-up there, and then Unicorns of Love, they just continue to press their advantage. Following that, Exile, he gets himself a solo kill in the mid, and I mean, hopefully we get to see a replay of that, because Exile, we've been praising his ability.
It's looking like a little bit of a replay right now. They're running into the bush again to try to take down this pink ward. It's not going to cost them any blood this time around, but I mean, absolutely. I mean, we were wondering when the breakpoint was going to be, and it's just a sudden burst of aggression for Unicorns of Love, and with the Shen ult now coming off cooldown as well, Rek'Sai now moving in, coming to top side. I'm wondering if we're going to see another fight here.
The interesting thing is, this isn't Unicorns of Love necessarily forcing these plays. They're just taking advantage of the fact that Splyce are just ever so slightly overstepping. Hylissang, he has the Tempered Fate. He's looking for the play.
He wants to get it locked down. The Jin setup, curtain call comes down. Unbreakable, will it be enough? But the rest of Unicorns of Love are here. Where did they come from? Mickey gets the ult down. Nice animation cancel, but he's set to die. Trashy running away, tail tucked between his legs. Unicorns of Love taking advantage. Sheepy Could not be happier with that exchange.
Another great collapse coming out from the Unicorns of Love, realizing the fact that Splyce's bottom lane do not have a turret there to defend them. All of the vision control is in favor of Unicorns of Love. They set themselves up the flank and they get another 2 kills to add to their collection. Phenomenal stuff coming out from the Unicorn.
Where is Wonder in these exchanges? He just cannot get a break. He's going to have TP soon, but all he's been able to do is push on the bottom side of the map, whereas Chachi, involved in 50% of the kills thus far, just feels like he's always around.
I mean, how do you compete with this global pressure, though? Move. He has his ultimate to go from one side of the map to the other. He can go from base to a lane instantly, and then to make matters worse, oh, you thought this was a 3 versus 2? No, we've got Chachi there, who not only has the teleport, but the stand united as well. And it's just so easy for Unicorns of Love to just make these proactive map plays all the time that if they want to react, they can, or if they just want to set something up, they're doing that as well, and Unicorns of Love are having a fantastic 15 minutes of this game.
I love the way you break that down. Just, oh, you think it's 3 people? No, it's 4. You were wrong.
Bang, I'm here.
Fight me.
That's what I imagine Shen would be like, you know? Just out of nowhere, he just
Talks
pulls
a
his
lot of
mask
smack.
down, he's like, surprise, it's ninja time.
Is that what it's his surprise? It's Ninja Time?
Yeah, that's what I imagine he says.
The original Vedius Shen VO?
Yeah.
Hey, man. Cast long enough, maybe you'll get the opportunity. Oh, Wonder locked down. That is so much damage coming in from Veritas. Ghostblade. Really letting him chunk through that mini Gnar health bar. Exile still trading blows here with Senkux, but Senkux almost out of mana.
Blue team's turret has been
I mean, we're 16 minutes in, and the Unicorns of Love have a 3K gold lead and are continuing to take down these towers. They own the top side. They're giving this over to Chachi, and now Veritas and Hylissang pressuring in on the bottom.
I mean, this might be a little bit preemptive, but just looking back at the standings, remember that if Unicorns get themselves a 2-0 in this series, they're now equal to Splyce on the standings. And that's the impact that these 2-0s can have. So the fact that Unicorns of Love have got themselves such a powerful early game really is impressive. My only caveat to this is Splyce were in a similar situation against Origin last week, and Origin, they tried to force a fight with that split push Jax, and it ended up backfiring. The Splyce were able to find their way back in. So the big question for Unicorns is, how can you close these games out?
Absolutely, and it's something we heard the analyst desk talk about as well as the Unicorns of Love. We know they can get good early leads. We're witnessing it right now, but when it comes to those clutch late game decisions, can they keep it consistent? Can they keep that same level of map awareness and kind of macro proficiency?
Because we did see a really interesting stat the other day, the fact that if you have a goal lead at 15 minutes, then you're only 75% more likely to be actually win the game, which means that here in Europe, we are actually struggling to close out these games, as it does look like the Splyce potentially setting up for a collapse onto Exile.
Exile maybe in trouble. Mickey running forward. Spear just barely missing. And the wall gonna say no go to Mickey as he tries to close that one in. Suddenly Unicorns of Love are looking to set up here. Oh, Trashy, don't chase the Bard! That's rule number 1! Oh, Trashy now set to fall. Can he make it out? Chachi gonna grab that kill. Is the action gonna keep going? Mickey running out. Here comes the Anivia. Stun goes in. Great hop to safety. But Mickey blocked out by the wall. The Unicorns of Love feel unstoppable right now, looking for their 8th kill. Mickey once again trying to disengage. He's gonna drop an Exile on a rampage.
Trashy, he followed the Bard journey. I mean, it is a magical journey, but only for the person creating it. If you're going to try and follow him on that, then you're going to get punished because, I mean, you just walked into 3 people. Did you forget that there's a Shen in the game?
Splyce play with the Bard. They know not to follow.
I know, right?
I mean, a little
Unbelievable,
bit
Trashy. We praised him so much for his very impressive performance coming into the split and to try and force a play, try and find an avenue back into this game to then just result in misery for Splyce.
But just at the same time, we can see he has that massive CS lead, and maybe he's feeling the pressure of having to be that carry because he's trying to make something happen, but
you can see he feels pretty safe right now because he has the vision around him, but he just wasn't expecting Hylissang to be in the bush. Then with the rest of his team following up behind, he thinks he can force the play, but there's the Shen ult. Then Splyce suddenly realizes, or Trashy even suddenly realizes, boom, it's surprise ninja party time, and then he ends up on the back foot in a 3 versus 1 scenario, and then Mickey gets caught off by the wall. He ends up going down as well, and Unicorns pick themselves up another 2-0.
And aside from the surprise ninja party, as we're now going to call every Shen ult, I mean, they're just not respecting the range and the engage potential of this Jhin, whereas Unicorns of Love seem to know how to use it perfectly. Veritas, nowhere near that fight, happy to throw out a snare and immediately just try to blow him away with that ultimate.
So we're now at the 20-minute mark. This is the point at which I thought the game would start to blow open, but it has already blown wide open. 8-0 in favor of Unicorns right now. Cloud Drake is up on the map, and I feel like Unicorns, they're in a position where they can just pick that one up for free. Splyce don't want to try and force the fight.
Yeah,
they're more interested in this.
What is that buff? It gives you 45 bonus damage when you take an Elder Drake. Is that the buff? I can't remember. That feels like the one that matters, right?
Yes, that is the one that matters. As Unicorns, they're going to pick themselves up the tier 1 in the bottom lane. So now that's every single outer tower gone. The only one that Unicorns have actually lost is that tier 1 in the bottom lane for themselves. And that was because of all this cross-map plays that Vizicachi has been setting up.
And now Unicorns may be moving up to the top lane to collapse, but Kabi and Mickey are doing work onto this tower. Looks like they've decided better of it. So despite the proactive movement on the bottom side of the map, they are giving something back in exchange, and the gold lead only 4K in the Unicorns' favor. Now that's very big at 20 minutes, but if Splyce can stop the bleeding here, may be able to come back into this one.
We have seen Kabi carry on this Lucian before, and he is going for a build that allows him to have more of an impact towards the 25 onward mark. So I don't want to completely count them out yet, but right now, to me, it feels like Splyce just have no answer to this Shen. And the fact that there were so many bans towards the top lane in the draft, and then they didn't prioritize the Shen, just really surprised Splyce.
Now Splyce may be behind, Wonder may be struggling, but that was a sweet red buff steal, and will be a nice little something. Get the spirits up here in the dark times for Splyce.
That's actually really interesting. Exile, level 14 right now, decided to take 3 points in his Flash Frost and then actually max his W. So a bit of an unconventional build that I actually quite like, because it is allowing Unicorns of Love to find these picks across the map. And notice that Splyce are actually very good at running away, so if you cut off their escape route, then it just makes it easier to get those picks.
Yeah, absolutely. Zone control is something we talk so much about, and Anivia with that wall, with that ultimate, absolute easy way to set up and close off in those team fights. Interesting here, Unicorns of Love slowing down a little bit. They've broken down those outer towers. Now it's a little bit harder to make those plays across the map. And you can see a lot of teams start to push out their vision lines, and we're not seeing that from Unicorns of Love quite yet.
Well, the question is for Unicorns, what do they go for now? Because it's 20 minutes, and they've taken all the tier 1 turrets. They got themselves the Rift Herald. They got themselves all of the dragons. And Unicorns at this point are just like, wait, what do we do now? Well, we've got everything. Everything belongs to us. So the priority needs to be setting up vision control around the Baron. I mean, trying to force a play this early on could be very risky, but if you just look at how powerful your carries are right now, Unicorns of Love are actually in a position where they could go for that sort of a play. They have the vision control they need right now, and all they need to do is, the Baron is the next proactive play, because they do have pretty good siege, though, with the Anivia and the Jhin. You can make some really good picks underneath that turret when you combine it with the wall as well. There are many options for Unicorns of Love right now, and as you rightly said, they seem to be a little bit undecided as to the next objective that they go for.
Yeah, you can see Splyce not quite so indecisive, moving around as a pack here. Kabi, Mickey, and Trashy making sure to clear out this vision. They know that Baron is the next objective on the table. They do not want to give Unicorns of Love the opportunity here. Next Drake, of course, going to be that Ocean Drake. Unlike the Cloud, this one could be contested overall. Are we getting cheers for Cloud Drake now? Is Cloud Drake the new ward?
Oh, man. So, hopefully we won't see as many Cloud Drakes over in Poland, because that video looked like one scary dragon.
Yeah, that was a terrifying. I did not... You could change the dialogue completely, and I would never know that that was not a preview for some epic fantasy movie.
Yeah, I know, right? I thought it was really good. But quickly backtracking to this game, it looks like Unicorns of Love, they want to try and set up a siege onto the turret. I mean, if we think of a really great combo that Deficio was talking about last week of the Cassio and Jhin, where she throws down the miasma and then he can land the root. Hang on a second, speaking of roots.
She caught up once again. The CC chain. No opportunity. Unicorns of Love want to keep this train rolling, though. Senkuk's caught out. No way out. Double kill coming in for the Unicorns of Love. They're moving to the Baron, and they have the control necessary to burn this one down.
Unicorns of Love, they don't need to decide what plays they have to force, because Splyce are simply walking into their hands. Trashy, I know it's only 20 minutes into this game, but Unicorns of Love have such a massive lead. You cannot be trying to contest that blue buff, because you're just going to make it so easy for Unicorns to get a collapse, and they're going for more.
Oh my gosh, did not get the lockdown there in the end. Unicorns of Love still hungry for blood. Veritas waiting, running forward with the Ghost Blade. There's the stun.
No.
Wonder on the opposite side. He's not going to get a chance. Veritas on a killing spree. Unicorns of Love absolutely own the map. They're moving into the mid lane.
Not only did Unicorns of Love get themselves the Baron, but Splyce, they wanted to try and salvage whatever they could from that situation. And unfortunately for them, all they could do was give away a couple more kills.
Oh, Hylissang, no fear, but Splyce is ready to fight back. Hylissang set to drop. No, Shen isn't going to be enough. Veritas caught behind enemy lines. The turret's going to drop. Can Splyce turn this one around?
Whoa!
Exile, so much damage. Snare not going to come out. Wonder hungry for blood. Meganar is on the way, but Exile is dominating. Will it be enough? Trap goes down. Dissuades any further advancement. Senkuk's has to flash out. Snare not going to connect. Splyce trying to fight back, but it is a bloody brawl, and Unicorns of Love make it a 1-for-1 trade in the end.
Exile is playing this Anivia so well, and Move, he just does not care about the damage that Kobe is trying to pull out. I mean, really impressive stuff coming out from Unicorns, constantly finding pick after pick, and while Hylissang, he tries to continue on with the aggression and ends up getting punished for it. Unicorns still get themselves the turret, they still get the kill down onto Trashy, and now they've extended their gold lead to 7K.
And we're gonna have to watch this again, because this is just a fantastic pick from Unicorns of Love.
Why is Trashy here? There is no need for you to try and contest that blue buff. Just give it away. It's just very greedy trying to take that one away. You know that Baron is on the cards for Unicorns of Love. Moments ago, you were setting up vision around that play, and then you just go and give away a kill, and you give Unicorns of Love the free Baron that they've been looking for.
And not a good spot for Trashy to be in. 3 deaths this game, getting caught out time and time again, and costing so much more than just the difference in gold from those kills, costing them the Baron in the end. Splyce need to tighten this play up. They need to stop the bleeding. Something we thought we were going to have to say about Unicorns of Love.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's on the other foot this time around, and Unicorns of Love pushing in for deeper vision, looking for more, and they have made mistakes, but their play is looking so clean this week.
It certainly has. I am blown away by how well Unicorns of Love has been playing, and we highlighted Move at the start of this game, but the entire lineup of Unicorns have been impressing me. Chachi on the Shen, always using those ultimates so effectively. Exile getting a solo kill down onto Senkuk's. Just the fact that Hylissang has been constantly finding these picks, he has given away the only death on his team, and shame on you, Hylissang, for ruining that almost perfect KDA of Unicorns of Love, but still, overall, very well-rounded team that has performed phenomenally and executed their composition to perfection.
And I mean, really, Unicorns of Love, we had a large list of problems for them when they fell down to the bottom of the table. I don't think a single one of them was not having perfect KDA. I think in the scheme of things, that's probably okay to have the one death, especially with a performance like this. But they still have to close out. The Baron buff is faded, or is fading fast, rather. It's going to make it very difficult for them to siege up if they cannot find an advantage, if they cannot make proactive decisions.
So they could go for a 1-3-1 right now. You have Move, who has his ultimate available, to just quickly join in the fray if he needs to. You've also got Chachi, who very well known for being a split pusher, not only in his playstyle, but also in his champion pool with the Aurelia, with the Shen, with the Trundle, and Shen just makes it so easy for him to set up those 1-3-1.
Do you think that's going to be the 1-3-1 or the 4-1 with the Anivia, just to make sure that those sieges go well together?
Well, this is it. They just have so many options available to them. If 1-3-1 is a strategy that they're extremely comfortable with and they know has worked for them in the past, and that's the strategy they can use to try and force this. However, they can go for the 4-1 as well. Rek'Sai doesn't really offer very much in this 3-man unit other than that somewhat tanky front line. But it does make it a little bit safer for Exile to play that a little bit more aggressively, because he then knows that he has moved to act as that little bit of a dangerous threat. What I'm not a fan of is sending Veritas into the side lane. He is your AD carry. There's very few ways for him to actually join the fray, and he doesn't have that much vision in his jungle.
Splyce. They smell blood in the water. Question is, are they going to get the pick? Nope. Nope. Exile throws down the wall. He's overextended enough. He's not making mistakes anymore. The first few weeks were rough, but he's turning this one around. Starting the siege up on the bottom side. Chachi getting ready to push on the top. Unicorns of Love have control, but can they get this tower?
Well, they're going to try and set up the siege. Remember that Exile does have that wall, so one overextend.
Snare going down, a lot of poke, but Exile so low. Wonder moving forward. Meganar is available. Are they going to be able to get it? Hylissang stunned up. Is he? No! Makes it through the journey. Trashy flashes out. Doesn't want to get the stun. They haven't killed Hylissang yet. They haven't had an opportunity. Where is Chachi? In comes the Shen. Wonder caught up. Locked down by the wall. He knocks Exile back. Can they turn it? No! Unicorns of Love once again take control. The gold lead is too massive. Veritas, is he going to hit the shots? Kabi, he's going to fall. Oh! Great shot coming in. Unicorns of Love get the fight in the end. Splyce overextend, and Unicorns of Love outplay.
I love the mind games from Veritas because he fires the first 3 shots down onto Kabi, and then Trashy thinks he's going to use that last shot to get the kill onto my AD carry, and no, he quickly changes his sights, gets the headshot down onto Trashy, and secures himself a 4-for-1, which is exactly what Unicorns of Love need to break into the base of Splyce.
Chachi wants to keep this ball rolling too. Backing off from Senkux in the end, but wants to keep that pressure down. First inhibitor of the game set to fall. Mickey, not enough to stop this one out. Veritas burning through it so quickly. My God, Unicorns of Love, 11K gold lead, 30 minutes into the game. I'm just blown away by this performance so far. There was nothing in the first 10 minutes. We didn't see anything, and in the last 20 minutes, everything has gone in the favor of Unicorns of Love, and they've been making plays constantly.
Truly deserving of the title, Glorious, I would say. Just fantastic overall play.
I already praised you for your
I know, but I gotta keep bringing it because the word is so, I love the word, and I'm so happy that Unicorns of Love were able to deliver on our promise, Sifa. I mean, what a fantastic game so far, and to be honest, expectations-wise, we thought that it was going to be very one-sided towards Splyce, but let's just have a look at this replay because Hylissang takes a lot of damage, ends up getting caught out. And just look at the wall from Exile, right? This wall was so good in terms of its placement because it just locks up both Mickey and Wonder, and it completely cuts Trashy out of the fight. Kabi, he is investing all of his time into getting the kill onto Hylissang, and he doesn't even realize that the rest of his team is dying. And look at the fake out from Veritas. You think it's going to go for Kabi. Boom. Straight onto Trashy. 1K crit.
I mean,
fantastic play.
Shots like that, Little John would be proud. Do you actually get that reference? I'm so proud of you. Wonder running for his life, though. He's set to fall. Veritas unstoppable. The start of this game, I may have been surprised, but no longer. Veritas, the cleanup king this time around. Unicorns of Love, round 2 on this Baron. Maybe looking to set up another pick. In comes the Temper Fate onto 2. Mickey on the backside, flashes over the wall to safety. Hylissang all alone. In comes Shen to save the day. Surprise Ninja Party is gonna get canceled. He's not gonna make it through. Veritas in trouble. Trashy burned down. Unicorns of Love are too far ahead. Move making his way in. Kabi making his way out. Senkux now set to fall. Unicorns of Love going for the style points here. Ace for Veritas, ace for the Unicorns of Love, and mid lane. Now they're center of attention. They can move to end the game.
Unicorns of Love with a clean 1-for-5 ace. The death timers are long. We're 33 minutes into the game, and Unicorns might be looking to pick themselves up another win. We have to be mindful, though, because it depends on how quickly they're going to be able to take these turrets down. Wonder is still alive.
I don't think it's going to be enough. Mickey on the win, maybe hoping to block this one out. We've seen a lot of close calls when it comes to inhibitor takes, or rather Nexus takes in the last week, but there's not enough here for Splyce. Unicorns of Love moving up 1-0. What an insane game 1 coming in on the red side of the map.
Very enjoyable game to watch, and Unicorns of Love. I don't know what's happened, but they have found some serious mojo because this is really impressive to see from them right now. They drew a very impressive, very well-rounded composition. They executed upon it perfectly. And I do want to highlight that they were punishing Splyce very largely for their overextensions. Like the gank in the mid lane was Senkux overstepping ever so slightly. Same in the top half of the map. They took advantage of the fact that Kabi and Mickey overextended. But then once they had that early lead, so proactive.
And this is the difference in what I see between this set and the H2K set, is that in that set, H2K were trying to force plays on an even gold. Splyce, at least in those circumstances, were trying to fight their way back. It kind of makes sense. But in the early game, Unicorns completely took control. I mean, took 10, 15 minutes for them to get started up, but once they were able to use those cross maps, everything came together to them. But with Unicorns of Love taking game 1, let's head over to the analyst desk to break down how exactly they did it.
It's okay, we still love you, Sifa.
Welcome to the haha analyst desk.
Just let it go.
No,
Okay.
It's a new kid. You gotta throw him on the
New
bus.
kid. Okay, Unicorns of Love. Our main talking point before this was, Crepo, you were very, very critical of them, even in their wins with their solo queue-esque mentality.
Yeah.
They absolutely crushed Splyce. How much of that did you still see, and how much did they take a different route to victory?
I mean, it won't change in like a single game, but it does seem to me that the Unicorns came out with a simple plan, a composition that had a certain way to be played, and they played it expertly. I can't take much away from them this game, honestly. Really clean snowball.
Yeah, I was keeping my eyes on the other game, Rocket Giants, which is still going on. Took a look at picks and bans. Was a bit of a weird one when it came to the bans that Unicorns had, the Scion, the Talia. Any insight on that from you?
So there's some Talia players in Masters and Challenger, and what they've shown is that if you truly put an insane amount of time on a champion, she's just annoying to deal with because nobody wants to play Talia if you're in an LCS team because you don't want to put in the amount of time. So when somebody does pick her up, you don't know the matchups. Like, most of the time you know a matchup one way and you can extrapolate the other way, but because you don't play Talia and usually nobody else plays it, it almost becomes one-trick status. It's similar to what Bard was at the start. As for the Scion, Mickey plays it in solo queue. Very often Scion Jhin is an actually super strong lane because from a brush it's almost impossible to get close to it because the stun from Scion comes out of nowhere and sets up very well. And the creep push mechanic always tags you, and then Jhin W can follow up because you're a tad slow too. So it's actually a really interesting lane. Very playable with ulti, a lot of different lane, like kind of power spikes, play patterns that you then need to play around.
Let's talk about the champions that were in the game,
Yeah.
of course, and take
Let's
a
talk
look.
about them.
Let's take a look at some early replays rather, because it got out of hand quite quickly from the Unicorns of Love. But you initially said, well, this is Splyce being out of place.
Our narrative here is kind of like, it looks like Splyce is honestly giving up sloppy deaths. Like Mickey X is contesting a pink here. I mean, fantastic punish and really good collapse here from the Unicorns every time. Like here, Kobe is deciding to fight enemy support, uses dash, then realize, okay, enemy support, I got snare, now I get Tempered Fate here. So sloppy play from Splyce, but also good punish from Unicorns.
It looked like good punish. What was Trashy like in this? Because obviously he was on the Nidalee rather than the tanks we talked about.
Yeah, since he was playing a different style, for me, it felt like he was slightly uncomfortable. He wasn't like out farming his opponent as much as I think he should, especially against like a Sidestone Rek'Sai who has no dueling prowess whatsoever. But the main difference in this series came from, honestly, Vizichachi and his presence in the map. The Shen pick into the Gnar actually did better.
Called it.
Yeah, Stress has been talking all day about Shen. He does so well in a lot of melee matchups and surprisingly well into the Gnar matchup too.
And it's a funny one because I went on a long rant in Challenger that I didn't think the Challenger games were affected by Shen significantly, that it was the first pick. But this game, on the other hand, we were taking a look at some of the plays that actually were made by Chachi on the Shen, having that impact across map. And when we look at some of the kills that happened, especially coming from the top lane, you can see perhaps Yamato's had that influence with the rest of Splyce, you know, try and fix some of this cross-mapping. But it's Unicorns that actually come out a lot better from it. These plays where Shen's coming in early, he did the same with move on the first blood, ults in early, appears the numbers are in their advantage.
So the common factor in the first replay set that we showed you and then this phase has been Vizichachi and his presence. He went even in lane, teleported mid to get the first blood, which we didn't replay here. Then he went in teleport in 2 different instances to influence the fight, and these were proactive plays. This was not the Unicorns reacting and being like, oh, we need to make something happen. This was 4 of them playing on one side of the map, leaving no room to be punished, whacking away on Splyce, and Splyce just couldn't like withstand the pressure whatsoever. So this was super clean, well executed by Unicorns, and we gotta give props where props are due. Like, we criticized them for solo QS gameplay last week. This was a very clean victory from the Unicorns.
Let's take a look at a final team fight. Obviously cleared out very cleanly, and if they did get caught, they could still manage it because they were super far ahead, but also the way they played this late game.
Yeah, because they approached their comp correctly, which is kite, 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 and then turn with a Nivea wall. You want to just isolate Veritas so he can stand still and do damage here. So they get rid of the front line first, Wunder, then this beautiful wall separates the jungler, keeps people at bay. Hugo Sign can soak damage all he wants, he's done his job here. But look at Veritas, he's full HP, and if a Jhin can engage in phase 2 of a fight with that ulti, you can never run away from a Jhin. Like, it is impossible. So if you approach a team fight against a Jhin, that's why you need to win it early and hard, or otherwise those bullets on the way out will just hurt too much.
And he's helping to get that win rate of Jhin up because it wasn't too good here in the European LCS player.
I mean, there's another Jhin going on in Rocket right now.
There is. Player of the game, though, here in this one first, Vizichachi, obviously. The Vizichachi we love to see because we know that he can do this. And I don't know if it's because of how strong Shen is at this time or how he fits, but...
Chachi's a player right now that I want to see this Chachi a whole lot more than last week's, because even last week, Chachi was sitting in a lane 1v2 2 and people walk in, he burns his flash. So I love Chachi's performance in this game. Looked very, very
Ooh,
solid.
sheepyception right there.
Yep.
Double.
2 sheepies.
Yeah, and there you have Romano, the manager who's dressed up all
Yeah,
in
he
pink.
he dyed his eyebrows pink.
Pink.
It's not like spray paint or anything. It's literally he went to the hairdresser and is like, "Hello, miss, can I have pink eyebrows?"
And she raised her eyebrows and she did it.
Yep, she
yeah, but
committed.
that's dedication. That's dedication. 1-3-1 on
Yeah.
the weekend. He dyes his eyebrows pink. What's next? We're gonna see.
We
One
don't want
game
to
up.
see what's next.
One game up here, the Unicorns of Love, and that was here in the arena. However, over on the other stream, Roccat versus Giants Stress, we also saw some very interesting picks.
Yeah, well, we've got the Jhin we were talking about, which is a little less interesting, perhaps. We've got Lissandra top lane currently for Parang. We've got Airwax trying to run the Hecarim again out of the jungle that didn't quite have the success last week. But honestly, this game, Giants started out really well. A couple of proactive moves into the mid lane, punished Betsy on the Swain that Roccat haven't had in such a long time. Slowed down a little bit. Giants were making a few odd mistakes, trying to start fights where perhaps they didn't quite have the angle with their composition, which wants to kind of counter-engage. But Giants managed to take a Baron, take a 5-for-1 fight, and have cracked open 2 inhibs for Roccat. So Roccat are really on the back foot right now.
I'm loving this though. Lissandra, Hecarim, Swain.
It's such a hard comp to play though, because these are all kind of like, I mean, Lissandra is primary engage, technically if you come from a flank, but in a comp with no front line, it's hard to kind of get your flanks going. Seems like there's another
Look
fight
at
going
this.
here finally. Hey, Jock's play by play.
Oh, here we go. Airwax getting caught. Can he live? No! Cassiopeia is unstoppable, and Jhin going for the execute. Oh, Cassiopeia.
Now we need a pun and you're done.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm under pressure. I
Well,
can't.
I mean, it looks like Roccat are done right now at that point. Another Baron on the board. Oh, Maxwell is going all the way through.
That looks like it. You guys can catch the tail end of that game on EOLCS2. Roccat versus Giants, where you're going to have to hurry up. But with UOL one game up over here, we're going to see if Splyce can bring it back and salvage a draw. Don't go anywhere. The EOLCS continues in 3.5.